Good morning and welcome to the Daily Weather Operations Brief. This morning we are experiencing some windy and wet conditions with mild temperatures as a cold front moves through the area, and most of the associated rain that has been moving through the local region here has since already fallen and or pushed out of the immediate region, although we do anticipate another line of rain expected more so around 11 in the morning as we move towards those afternoon hours, and that should mark what will be the end of today's wet weather, although we will see those elevated winds continuing to persist and hang around into the afternoon and evening hours before we dry out and see those winds die out as we move into the weekend ahead. Now, looking at this morning's surface analysis, we do have a strong low pressure system that currently sits over the northern Great Lakes region with a series of trailing cold fronts draping across our local area, and that is what has been bringing those widespread showers throughout the morning. And as the last of those trailing cold fronts moves through later today around that 11 a.m. mark, that rain will then taper off as we get into the afternoon hours, followed by clearing skies and temperatures that will be on a steady but gradual decline as we see dry air filter in on the backside. We will also see those breezy conditions hanging around into the evening hours as mentioned earlier, and those temperatures do look to drop just around the freezing mark, if not just above. But then moving on into Saturday, we'll see high pressure return back to the local area with sunny skies and seasonable highs in the 40s. And then we'll see yet another cold front move through on Sunday, although it does look weak and dry at this point, and that will bring those highs into the mid-50s with colder lows on Sunday night dropping into the 20s. But overall dry weather past today. For our current weather observations out there, we do have an overcast layer at 300 feet and reduced visibility bouncing around between 1.5 miles to 3 miles or 3 statute miles, and winds are out of the south-southwest at 19 gusting to 32. And our temperatures currently sit at 57 degrees with 95% relative humidity present out on the field. Looking at this morning's satellite imagery here, we can see that cold front, at least that initial cold front that has since moved through, and most of that cloud cover and associated precipitation has moved offshore or to the northeast of us. And we can see that secondary front moving through off to the west. That should arrive just before midday today and bring our second chance of rain as it passes by. However, most of that potential for convective activity and seeing maybe a flash of lightning has since passed with that first frontal feature. Taking a look at the model analysis, this is the HER, a high-resolution model that is on a 24-hour loop here, and once we see it loop back around, we'll see that a majority of the rain has been modeled to have already moved out, and then we see that secondary glancing blow, and then just because of how the winds orient on the backside of that, we'll see some lake effect snow in areas to the north and northwest, but we will remain dry throughout that period. Leading us to the 24-hour outlook. Early today, we'll see continued shower chances and then lingering very slight chances once we get into the midday, but largely once we cross into the afternoon hours, we should start to see those clouds move out, skies clear rather quickly, and just leave us with a couple lingering clouds as we move through the remainder of the forecast period. Temperatures do look to climb to around 60 this afternoon with dropping relative humidity throughout the day. and those winds elevated right now, gusting to pretty sporty levels, will continue through the afternoon and working hours, and then be on a gradual decline as we move through the evening until tomorrow morning when we see much lighter conditions. So a good chance of that wind advisory hanging on for a majority of the day today. And then earlier in the period, since we are seeing those lowered ceilings, we can anticipate those to hang around and be intermittent at times until that secondary frontal passage does move through and we see that dry air start sneaking in. Looking at the next 2 days ahead for a short-term risk assessment, on Saturday we're looking good, mostly sunny skies and a high of 44. Saturday night, partly cloudy and a low of 38. And Sunday, partly cloudy and ever so slightly breezy and a high of 55. We'll have to see if those winds sneak up, but as of right now, they do look to remain just below wind advisory criteria. But overall, a nice few days ahead with mostly sunny to clear skies and only a few clouds mixing in here and there. And that is going to conclude the daily weather operations brief. Be back at 10 o'clock with the 7-day outlook. Hope everyone has a wonderful day.